Hi, my name's Jay. I'm 49 years old and I've spent the last 9 years making videos about longevity, biohacking, age reversal, whatever you want to call it. Now, 9 years ago, no one had ever heard of Bryan Johnson, the millionaire biohacker, but many comments appear under my videos which say, oh, you're copying Bryan Johnson. And I'm actually not. I was talking about all kinds of longevity stuff before anyone had even heard his name. So in today's video, it's going to be a reaction video. So lots of you ask me what I think about his protocols and what he does. So I'm going to just respond to it. This is the first type of video of this kind I've made. So if you want more content like this, please comment below, let me know. So although I'm not a doctor or a skincare specialist, I do feel like all the research and the knowledge I've gained over the last 9 years definitely gives me a credible platform to comment on his work. We're very similar, not just because a lot of the stuff that we talk about crosses over, but also we live our work. We're literally living, trying this stuff and just getting it on camera. We also go very much by trial and error. We see what works, what doesn't, we try something else. So there's a lot of similarities between what we do. Initially, the first time I heard about him, I'd seen a video where he was standing next to his 18-year-old son, half naked, kind of comparing whether they look the same age. Now, this was creepy on many levels. That put me off him. I never followed him, but in the last couple of weeks, I've watched loads of his stuff in depth so I can talk about his content, not in a nasty way. I'm just adding my opinions as you guys want to know. I kept seeing this, "Don't Die," flash up on some of his videos. So it's the title of a book he co-wrote, and I quote, "We are at war with death and its causes. We are fighting for the freedom to exist as long as one chooses." So I'm uncomfortable with this as he's taking things too far. So longevity is fine, but there's some ethical concerns I have about telling people not to die. So first of all, I practice Buddhism, and it teaches that you can't be happy unless you accept death. If you fight death or if you fear death, you're never going to be happy. Some Buddhists actually meditate in a morgue surrounded by dead bodies to completely accept it. Secondly, this is kind of like the tale as old as time of the king, you know, the rich man who spends all his gold finding a way to live forever. The practicalities are that there's not enough space on the planet for everyone to not die. There just isn't enough physical room. Then you've got the question of, imagine you did live till 300 and your partner, your kids, your friends had all died. You'd outlived everyone. How happy would you actually be? And then there's a question of, even if our cells are biologically young, is there not a natural expiration for our body, and do we have the right to mess with that, to extend that? Lots of interesting questions which come up, which I don't think he wanted to come up. I think that was just a catchy marketing title for his book. I don't think he meant all that kind of stuff to come up.
It turns out that facial fat is really important to how someone gauges someone else's youthfulness. The problem was, no matter how good my biomarkers were, they would look at my face and say, that guy's old.
You can have a biologically healthy body on a cellular level, but your face looks all wrinkly and old, and you can't separate the two. So you've got the aesthetics of anti-aging and you've got the biological healthy aging aspect, and they have to merge, because if you've got a wrinkly old face that you see in the mirror every day, you're going to feel old no matter how young your body is, and others perceive you as older. And as he says, he was getting all these comments about how awful he looked. So at some stage, even he has to acknowledge that these two things go together. It's like a holistic view of healthy aging.
So in response, we said, we're going to do Project Babyface. We know that in our youth, we have a lot of facial fat, that over time, it lessens. In fact, in your 20s, you start losing 1% of your collagen every year. So by the time you're 80 years old, you've lost 75% of what you had in your early 20s.
First of all, he's talking about fat loss in the face and how as we age, we get this hollowness, which ages us, okay? 100% I agree with that. But then he suddenly skips to the graphic and he's talking about collagen loss as we age, which is also true, but fat loss, which is basically the fat pads in our face, they either kind of disappear or gravity pulls them down, so we get hollowness, is nothing to do with collagen, which is just like scaffolding in the skin. It can make our skin plump, but it cannot replace the volume from lost fat in the face. He's conflated two different issues, which is incorrect and it makes no sense. I don't know whether this was a error with the video editing or whether he doesn't know the difference between fat loss and collagen, but for me this doesn't make any sense at all.
We wondered, could I rejuvenate my face so I had much more volume. It's endless fun. I love every second of it. Now that is a hard problem. You probably are aware that people use things like fillers to compensate for the loss of volume. It's why a face can look plump and round, but it's just filler. It's just masking the problem. We wanted to figure out if we could use legitimate rejuvenation technologies to restore volume in my face. The first thing I did is Sculptra, which is a biostimulator.
If you go to the Sculptra website, it actually says not just another filler. Sculptra is still a filler in my view. It's not like a filler you use to inject into your lips to give you more volume, but it's still a filler that you're injecting into your face. It's just a different type of filler. It just improves skin quality rather than giving volume.
It's injected into certain regions of the face. For example, the temples, right around the mouth, through here. It's designed to allow your body to naturally produce collagen. So instead of putting filler in the face, which just expands in volume, you're getting actual collagen production. My protocol has been doing 2 vials every 6 months. I think the company recommends 1 per year, so I've exceeded what they're recommending. Also, I was compensating from a place of pretty serious deficit, not starting as a maintenance mode of 1 vial per year at say age 28, and going through time. I didn't do any until I was age 46 and I'd lost a lot of weight.
I'm sure Sculptra did lots of research when they launched their product on how often you can use their product, how often you can inject it into your face. I'm 100% sure if they could find a way to get people to use it more often, then they would, because they'd make much more money. So if they say you can only use it once every few months or whatever, I would probably stick to that. I mean, he's kind of doing something which is outside the medical advice, and it's probably wasting money as well.
Next is I tried Renuva, which is fat transfer. Now ideally, you want to use your own fat. The problem was I didn't have enough fat on my body to do a transfer. And the doctor was concerned that if we tried to extract any fat I had, I would leave an indentation on my body. And so I used a donor's fat. When I did this, I had an extreme allergic reaction. On my way home, I blew up, like I couldn't even see out of my eyes. Because of the allergic reaction, we discontinued it.
So he said he didn't want to use filler as that just masks the problem. However, the risk from using fat, either your own or someone else's, increases the risk that there's going to be complications. He probably would have been better off just having filler in the first place. But even a fat transfer might last 5 years, then you have to do it again. It's not permanent. I had filler in my cheeks a few years back and it lasted fine for me. I don't think, you have to go and have a fat transfer. The other thing is that filler is going to work out much, much cheaper than having a fat transfer, which is a much more surgical kind of intervention. Filler is easier, it's quicker, it has less downtime, and it's cheaper. And obviously you've got less risk of reactions. And the big thing is that you can get filler dissolved if something goes wrong. With fat, you can't, it's just gonna stay there.
So this is an Exilus device. This is for the face. This is a radiofrequency technology. This tip here warms up and you kind of roll it over the skin. And it's used for collagen production and for tightening the skin. So as you age, you lose firmness of the skin and less collagen. So we're trying to revolumize. And that was in particular a problem with me because at the beginning of Blueprint, I lost a lot of facial volume due to my caloric restriction. I've since increased my caloric intake, but we've tried to increase volume. And if you see my pictures from a year ago to now, it's a big difference. I've revolumized quite a bit.
Here he's saying he revolumized his face using this radiofrequency device. Now, that's not possible because radiofrequency adds new collagen to your skin and it tightens your skin. It gives a lifting effect, but 100% it will not replace lost volume due to fat or anything. It doesn't give volume to your face. His volume replacement came from the fat injections he did. Now, it's a bit concerning that he's supposed to be surrounded by these experts in his clinic and they haven't actually pointed this out. So it's kind of like he's talking about things on a false premise. So I guess at some stage he's going to come out with a skincare device because he's already got supplements and stuff. And I would worry about the accuracy of what that's based on. So Bryan Johnson has launched a supplement range. It's not even a supplement range, it's kind of everything he does, his whole protocol, and it's very expensive. I had a look at it. I guess the issue is that if you're kind of trying to stop death and you're trying to help humanity and you're a millionaire and you don't need any more money, but you start trying to monetize your experience, then it could get people to question why you're doing this. So I have nothing against people trying to make money, and when I make a sponsored video, which is quite rare, or when I have an affiliate discount code, which I put on the screen, I do get quite a lot of people who say, oh, you're fake, you know, why are you? But I can see how some people may be thinking, well, is he doing this to make money, or is he doing this to help humanity and, you know, find out the cause of aging? So they were my comments on Bryan Johnson and his protocol. So let me know what you think of Bryan Johnson, what you think of what I do, what you think of this video below. I think he gets quite a lot of negativity because of his looks, and he's acknowledged that. And I think he's kind of placed himself, he's so visible now, he's blown up, probably bigger than he thought he would do. I think he gets a negative rap. I think what he's doing is great, and I also think he has a right to monetize what he's doing and make money from it, you know. So thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and a subscribe if you want more content like this. I'll see you next time.